Good afternoon, all. Camelback Trading 2724 coming to you this Tuesday afternoon, December 31st. And no surprise as the Bulls go out to finish 2019 with an upside price probe. Would you have expected anything else on the year? The SPY ends up, I guess it's just under 28%, something like that. So no surprise the way we finish. Was surprised that we never ever pulled back. Thought we'd pull back a little bit before we went and did what we did at the end, but we never did. We actually opened with a very small gap. And I said this in this morning's video, I'd rather see it not gap, open inside balance, and then go down. And I like to take a put play to get that yesterday's low, the previous day's low, and then we had those two sets of single prints. Well, I didn't get that. I got a small gap, went down, took out one of the single prints, rallied a little bit, and I got on board because I thought we would go back and at least fill that one little single print, one tick down at 320.11. Well, it didn't happen, and what it did is put me in a lot of trouble early. Because as soon as they ripped it, I shorted it. I said I should have been out once we get accepted into M or value. Well, I didn't, and it ripped really high, really hard, and I added a very good size up here. At the time, value was overlapping to lower by a lot. It ripped it up. Once B opened and couldn't take out A's high, I felt comfortable, and then B came in, and this trade was very red at the time, came in and ended up being green. Not the smartest trade at all, but it worked out. Really did nothing really the rest of the day for the most part for two reasons. Number one, there wasn't much to do in here, and second of all, even though my capital reserve was fine after that trade, my mental reserve certainly needed some replenishing. So I basically watched a good part of the day, took a couple of small put plays. I think that was in J and K or I and J, and they were small. I was looking for this market to pull back at some point. We were 8 wide. We never got to 9 wide. I figured we would pull back, and I would take a put play. I had a put play, get back to pocket, and see if we got an afternoon pullback low before we got that ramp. I'm not surprised we got the ramp. I'm surprised we didn't pull back. And actually, I did have one more trade prior to that short. I took a long. I did take a long, thinking we would get to, at the time, I think I took the long in F or G, looking for the CE high to be broken. And it was, but incredibly, when I bought the calls at G's high, by the time they took out C and E's high, they were worth less than when I bought them, which really surprised me. And they weren't calls that expired today, so it really surprised me. And that was even more of a reason I thought we'd pull back more, because those things weren't increasing in value. Anyway, 3 trades on the day, decent day. And look at this, we're still end periods taking out M's high. So let's go over our destinations, and we'll break down the charts for the end of the year. So for the upside, our first destination will be today's high of 322.13. Then we have yesterday's high, 323.10. Afternoon rally high of 323.30 from the 27th. 323.80 is now a monthly high, an all-time high. And then our pre-market all-time high of 324.09. So to take out the monthly again, we'll see, to get another new high. For the downside, first one will be the price probe, which is A's high at 321.54, right? So we made the new high in the last half hour, closed above it, 321.54. Then we don't have anything until we get more market generated information on Thursday to today's low of 320.15. So if all this was short covering or emotional buying, whatever you want to call it, at the end of the year, if we get accepted back below A's high on Thursday, there's nothing really here. Yes, we are 8 wide, but we would certainly migrate back to it pretty quickly if that's the case. And then below 320.15, we have that single print at 320.11, And I gave you a bunch of other ones on the downside earlier today. Charts. Year is done. We go out just off the all-time highs, one time framing up for 2 months, and still have a monthly gap still holding. Weekly. We are now in balance in the weekly since we took out last week's low. 2 days left in this week still. Still have a gap. Gap is my main focus still. And in the daily, I told you yesterday I wasn't sure how I was going to encompass this. Well, I decided I'm going to use the entire thing, so the all-time high and that low from the gap. Another interesting thing today, and I'll go back to that right after I show you this. So I am now putting this in an 11-day balance. It's not that big a balance though. It's the all-time high of 323.80 and 319.17, which is the low from that gap. So it's only for under $5 range. So that now, we are still, believe it or not, even with this whole ramp up late in the day and everything, we're one time framing down for 2 days. We're in balance, but we're one time framing down for 2 days. Just keep that in mind. So the question is, starting Thursday, are the bears going to try to push this down and test the bottom of this balance and the gap? Or do we take out today's high and get back to the top of the balance, which is our all-time high? That remains to be seen. We still have gaps. I can't remember since I've traded the ES and it's, the SPY, and I've traded the SPY now. I'm going to get, 6-7 years full time. I can't remember a time where a monthly, weekly, and daily gaps have held at the same time for so long. And then so here's that 3-day balance, right, that we initially had after that gap higher. Look how important it was today. And I knew that was going to come into play. I said that. So, right, we had an 11-day balance. Here's the first 3 days of it, right? Here's the gap. Then here's the 3. We got into this 3-day balance today when we traded down to 320.15. However, now again, I'm in 4-tick increments, so you can't see. Here's the one set of single prints we filled. I had 1 tick, and again, you can't see it on here, but it is 1 tick. So even though we got into that 3-day range, never filled that 1 tick, and then sellers were absolutely rejected out of here, and that's what catapulted us up. If we got accepted back into here, well, your destination would be the bottom of that 3-day balance, which is the bottom of our 11-day balance now. So pretty cool stuff, pretty important how the buyers held it. And that caught me, right? I was looking for a quick play to fill that other single print, and instead it caught me because they ripped the shorts once we came out of that 3-day balance again. Anyway, I hope you had a great day, week, month, year trading. Happy, healthy new year. Stay safe tonight. And I'll see you prior to the opening on Thursday.